Good morning and namaste, my friend, and welcome to Namaste Today in the Zodiac Weather. My name is Christopher Witecki. I am the sensei to Sirius Joy, and I am here to stand in my heart. It is a pleasure to walk with you today, my friend. I'm lovecasting live in 5 dimensions on this beautiful full moon temple in Gaia on Friday. Thank goddess it's Friday, April 3rd, 2015. This is also your weekend forecast, and I am so grateful that it's Friday. I have to say it's been a very difficult and challenging week. The sun is in Aries. That means the human population is upgrading their ego. Ego is willpower, and ego is also strength. And the only way to get more strength is, frankly, by adding more weight. So the universe tends to add more weight in Aries, and more weight. And usually there are things that we either have to kick it into gear and persevere because our heart's into it, or we're just ready to give up. This is it. We can't do this anymore. And in the next 24 hours, we have a lunar eclipse, which is going to add a lot more weight to the part that needs to go. So if we haven't let go of what needs to go, it will be yanked off in the next 24 hours. And to kick off that yank off, we have Step 13. Step 13 rules the day and leads into the lunar eclipse. The lunar eclipse is actually at Step 14. This video will talk about both of the steps and what you will go through over the weekend. But let's first focus on Friday, because Friday is about breakthrough and understanding before the eclipse. So we're meant to understand and let the eclipse take away what doesn't work. It shouldn't feel like anything that is meant to stay, right? And it shouldn't be a total a surprise to us what goes. Even if we were holding on to something that gets taken away from us, we knew that was possible. Okay, that's one thing about Aries consciousness. There's no subtlety about it. It's very, very clear because actions speak louder than words. And right now, actions do speak louder, especially for those of you struggling in relationships. Their actions right now are telling you everything you need to know. But before we dive into the architecture of this lunar eclipse, let's first tame our brain, shall we? With the phrase of the day. I am ready to release all that does not belong, and so it is. I am ready to release all that does not belong. Now, belonging, if you've watched my show, you know it comes down to the heart. We belong where the heart is attracted to, all right? Law of attraction is based on the heart, based on love. And so we do not belong wherever we're not really loving. So if your heart's not into it, you don't really belong there. And sometimes we hold on to these things, even though we don't really belong there. This is a lunar eclipse that will probably yank away those types of things. Where you're hanging around, you don't really belong. So if something breaks down, something doesn't work, well, that's probably because you didn't belong there. So let's make it easy. Let's set it up in our system with our brain. Tell the brain to tell the rest of the system, I am ready to release all this. You hear me, states of awareness? And all that does not belong is what must go. That's within me, and that's also in my life. Because I said so, I thought so, and so it is. The serious step of the day is Step 13. That's actually Uranus. That's Aquarius. That's innovation. And the way it works is, once we're manifesting in Step 10, which is what it is, we are now manifesting and creating reality that will come to fruition in about 6 months. We are moving forward today with our beliefs. So it's our beliefs that we add to the equation. And we go by our beliefs. So today you want to follow what you believe. If you don't know which way to go, well, what do you believe? Do you believe it should be this way or it should be that way? That's how you should decide, in my opinion. Let your beliefs tell the way. And if you've watched my show, you know belief includes the heart. Belief is Step 3. The heart is Step 1. So if you have a Step 3 built on a solid Step 1, then Step 3 will take care of the heart. That's how all the steps are. They're incremental. Do them right from the beginning, and everything will always point in the correct direction according to what your heart wants. So we belong, 13 adds to a 4, we belong wherever the end of our belief destination is, wherever that path is leading us. So today, you want to follow that path. So let's look at the chakras and the colors involved. We are in bright red, all right? Bright red energy. So we want to definitely take some time to ground, do some breath work if you can, hit the gym, etc. It just cleans out the excess aggressive energy. Just cleans out the excess, I find. Then we add our beliefs. That is our vision. That is our direction for where we believe things are going, where we believe it's all going to go, what our heart wants to create, what our heart wants to manifest. And this adds to where we belong. So we are placed in a new network, a new group, a new workplace, a new car, right? A new something as a result of this. And the eclipse itself is basically at step 14. So today we lead to step 14, we lead to that belong, and as we sleep in the United States, anyways, it'll happen really early in the morning tomorrow, the eclipse kind of just yanks away the old belonging. That's my belief. So whatever wasn't there gets kind of yanked on, it gets kind of heavy. So I think it's really freeing us. I think this lunar eclipse is really freeing us, not breaking us down, but freeing us so that we can move on with the new ego. So let's take a look at the timing and how the planets add it all up. So, looking at the cosmic clock, well, for starters, we're at step 13 today, 13 degrees into the Aries vibration, and we are on top of Uranus himself. Now, that is one thing to talk about right there. We're in a step 13 day, but we're in a step 13 day on the king of 13, right there, right? So I would say this is the most intense 13 you can get in a year. Maybe a step 13 opposing Uranus at 13 would be just as chaotic. Maybe a square would be hell. But I think this is about the purest uranium that we can get. This is probably as close to opening up a vortex as you can open, right? And this is also where people should really be careful. Do not drink and drive or do anything stupid right now. It's just not in your best interest and your highest good right now. Now, Mercury today is at step 7. Thank God, literally logging us into God. So listen to your thoughts. A little birdie might tell you something, and you definitely might need to know that, considering something that may stay or go. But the moon is on approach for the Earth, and it is in Libra, so for Taurus energy, as I was trying to say. And today the moon is on approach, so what that means is we're going to feel the moon getting more intense. The moon is filling up, so it's filling up with emotional energy. It's filling up with sun's energy that reflects back. The sun is step 1, emotion is step 2, right? So the sun shines on the moon, step 2, and step 2 shines onto our beliefs, step 3, and so on and so forth. Right? So we are going to start to feel all this building. It's in relationships, and it's important to also remind you that a full moon is an opposition. All right? It is a tug of war. So in the middle of the night, as this moon moves into, as the sun moves into step 14, and the moon does as well, 14 Libra, we begin to have a tug of war. In my opinion, a tug of war between the elements of what we're still holding on to on Earth, with the moon and our emotions. So our emotional attachments to the old ego's claim. All right, so, but I thought I was going to be this. You know, it's like Luke Skywalker whining in Star Wars. Oh, but I want to be a Jedi like my father. You know, it's like that's the emotional attachment to the old ego, the child ego of his, right? So, but then, you know, eventually something happens. You know, you realize you have the Force, and with step 14, it's that you allow your emotions to attach to the new story. You allow to the new connection, because 4 is really two twos coming together, all right? So it's your emotion attached to the wrong emotion, and then your emotion should be attached to a new emotion. That's basically the surgery you want to do during the full moon. But adding even more to it is this soul pyramid in fire. So as we are releasing the old, we're also buying into the new belief structure. And look at that, it's at a step 4. Wonka wonka, right? So there we are again. We got a party of 4s going on here. And that means that we're going to do a quantum shift, that we're going to go up a floor, right? Now we might have already, you know, seen ourselves at this floor, might have had moments at the upper floor, so to speak, seen the view before on this floor, you know, all that possible, but not until this next weekend, Easter weekend. Doesn't that make it interesting and paradoxical? But it's not until this weekend that we are reborn, and we are reborn into this new emotional attachment with a new ego. So I don't feel like I'm the loser. That would be an emotional attachment to ego. Now I feel like I am the winner. Just you wait, right? That's the kind of shift you should expect over the weekend. Now, if you don't know, a lunar eclipse is kind of a cool event. What happens is the Earth gets in the way, And the Earth casts a shadow, basically, onto the moon. Now, the moon is our emotional matrix. So the Earth's shadow onto the moon basically creates an emotional deficit. And in that deficit, I think things go down the toilet. I think it's a weird, interesting cosmic event. In your chart, if you are prenatal, your prenatal lunar eclipse, this actually represents literally a wound in your soul that comes from a past life. We'll be talking about that in Joy Camp for those who are in Joy Camp, and how to kind of calculate what step that is and what step your sensitive is or where your bruise is. So people who are pregnant with babies right now, these babies will all have minor wounds at step 14 in Libra, which means they'll have issues with being relating to the wrong class of people until one day they do this same shift you're doing right now and they realize they need to relate to a new class of people. So this is kind of how it works. And for us as well, because it's in Libra, it's worth saying, I think we're all going to be relating to a new class of people, up, down, turn around, whatever. So, whoops, that's the wrong key. Here we go. So the sun is at step 13 today, and as you can see, it is in the vortex of Uranus. It is in the vortex of the soul pyramid. Mars is way up at step 2 Taurus, so Mars is putting more pressure and more energy on emotion, as if there wasn't enough with a full moon. So Mars is like, if it wasn't hot enough, it's like, it's not just yoga, it's hot yoga. You know, like, you're going to get sweaty in this. And we're all going to get kind of sweaty in this next 36 hours as we kind of give birth and have labor to the new ego. Now, this is what I was, the slide I jumped to too soon. Then at 7:31 a.m. Eastern Time, we will have the actual climax of the full moon. Now, I find that during the apex, people are either extremely calm, they're totally tired, or they're wired. You know, the wired ones are usually people on something, is what I found, because something with the drugs just makes that what would normally calm you. I think most of the planet is put into a calm, like an ohm, during these sorts of moments. But whatever the case, you might find that you are sensitive at this time. I'll still be sleeping or just going to bed, knowing myself. And then that evening, or Saturday evening, we move to step 15. So after this very brazen eclipse, we have peace come. And that's because the 5 in the step 15, the 5 is Mercury. The mind suddenly gets it, and the mind lets everything become wired inside. And so we go into a peace. And so peace will reign, in my opinion, Saturday night through Sunday. And then God reigns Sunday night, as step 16 will rule Sunday night. We'll talk more about that in the Monday show. So in all these dynamics that might make you wonder, what do I focus on? Well, that's what today's Joy Quest is, and we'll talk about that right now. In my opinion, if you want to accept today's Joy Quest, should you choose to accept it, that is, your mission, your Joy Quest mission is to reframe your story and reframe it today. So we've talked about this before. Aries energy is basically the hero, the hero's myth, if you know Joseph Campbell's work. It is the part of us that lives by certain archetypes. Archetypes help us fill in the blanks. We create our reality, but we borrow and fill in blanks with archetypes. So we subscribe to these archetypes, these heroes, these legends, these things like that. And usually these archetypes, when it comes to the ego, deal with some sort of archetype that is, David and Goliath, something about survival, something about fight or flight, something about will overcome, will achieve, da-da-da. I say, well, first of all, we want to reframe our story, whatever that is, whatever you were born with, whatever archetype you had, the little guy winning, that sort of thing. We want to reframe that now, period. I would advise that to the President of the United States, anyone on the planet. Reframe your archetype today. Do it over Easter weekend. It's no accident it's over Easter weekend, in my opinion. Now, that said, as you reframe, I recommend you go higher. All right? Higher in the sense of spiritual. Higher in the sense of there is no battle, you have won. The battle is over, you have won in your story. This is the hero after the struggle. So the I am is the wise storyteller, or the I am is the Obi-Wan Kenobi, but the I am doesn't have to now be fighting or struggling or anything. Even if you feel like you are right now, you must plant the seed now in Aries that you are no longer, you are not. that you do not belong with that archetype anymore. And that's what the belonging is. I don't belong with this archetype. I'm belonging with this, and I don't belong in this cheap-ass car. Okay? I don't belong. So reframe your story before you go to sleep on Friday night. That is my opinion. And hold that story. Live in that story all weekend long. Let that be your rebirth. Let that be your resurrection. All right? Let you rise again in this new frame. All right? So, for those who are watched over by my personal Sensei network at 11:11 a.m., I'm going to give you some details and some extra insight on the states of awareness according to your ascendant, according to your rising sign, your natal chart, the states of awareness that will be in tug-of-war, which you'll be having pulling on between you and two places in your life. And at 3:03 p.m., I'll talk about where the lunar eclipse will likely change your life. And incidentally, lunar eclipses will affect people usually 3 days before or 3 days after the event. So I'll talk about where it will affect your natal story. We will have the ability to subscribe back on May 1st or for May 1st. I'll have that up here in a week or two. But if you're interested, we will allow it's just a manual process. And boy, is it hell when it goes wrong. So please forgive, I can only take on members once a month. So that brings us on to today's telepathy. I thought I'd continue on this cool Aries kick. And today I'm picturing an Aries historical figure. An Aries historical figure. Is it, these are all Aries, by the way, which I think is interesting in itself. Number 1, Leonardo da Vinci. We all know that gentleman. Number 2, Vincent van Gogh, artist, cut off his ear. Unfortunately, that's what he's known for, right? And his brilliant work. And 3, Rene Descartes. I think, therefore I am. All Arieses. And the guy who says, I think, therefore I am, an Aries? Come on now. But which one am I sending to you? All right. I sent it, and I'll give you the answer when we come right back after this. Having trouble finding that special soulmate? Oh, I know. Are you ready to find love? So what do you think your ideal mate is? This I can solve for you. Check out Secrets of Birthdays, the Love and Lust Report at secretsofbirthdays.com. Soul Garden. And welcome back to Namaste Today. So, for the answer to today's telepathy, I put out there in my telepathic mind that I was thinking about an Aries historical figure. Was I referring to number 1, Leonardo da Vinci, number 2, Vincent van Gogh, or number 3, Rene Descartes? I think, therefore I am. And the answer is Vincent van Gogh. I think Vincent van Gogh is actually very interesting. All 3 men are fascinating men, really. But Vincent van Gogh really explored in his work all sorts of characters, and I thought that's what's interesting about him. I think sometimes Aries artists are brave enough to look at some of those darker sides of life that humanity won't look at. I think Vincent van Gogh, although having a reputation for being insane or whatever, and insanely in love, Aries can be extremely obsessive when they're in love. So I think he lives up to a lot of it. But I think his work actually expressed and showed, the world all sorts of characters. And so I picked out Vincent. I think he's kind of interesting. So let's move on to today's rock and roll gospel. We are looking at Aries musicians who can rock it. And, interestingly enough, sometimes it takes also a warrior to calm a warrior. And I think that's the case of this rock and roll lady. Her name is Celine Dion. And Celine Dion is a Step 9 Grandmaster Aries. And, I see the Grandmaster in just what she pulls off. I mean, Titanic, marrying a big Sony executive, and then she's in Vegas and big, number one, number on charts and all sorts of things. That's very much a Grandmaster 9. Now, I do like her work, although I think if I hear the Titanic song, I might want to jump off of a ship. So I've picked actually Because You Love Me as the song I think that represents her and what will kind of, tenderize your heart to say goodbye to that ego side that's going and say hello to the new side of you, right? I think it's beautiful and tender. But before you have a little Titanic moment for yourself, let's take a look at the moods of each of your brothers and sisters for today and the Lunar Eclipse weekend. I'm tripping on my own words today. So I'm going to just outline for you what I think you are caught between. And I got to say that even though the eclipse ends you're caught between that energy all through the weekend. So this is what each of the 12 signs are caught between in the order of the 11 steps of Sirius Joy, starting with step 0, the hidden step. Scorpios, I think it'll be showers, chance of storms, unfortunately, just by where it's hitting you. You're going to be caught between your daily lifestyle and keeping the faith. Now, I think at one point you will have faith. I think it will turn on like a light bulb as soon as you get it and you associate with the right emotional story. All right. Step 1, the Leos, cloudy chance of pissiness, caught between life's purpose and old thinking. All right. So part of you wants to get on the path. Part of your mind is arguing with you. Step 2, the Cancers, cloudy chance of anxiety today and through the weekend, caught between career, future, and decisions and your actual emotional needs, finding balance between those two states. Step 3, the Sagittarius, is cloudy chance of paranoia, I think, but you are caught between your heart's desires and your social connections, or what your social world is pulling you into. Now, really, it's about getting on the heart's truest desires. Step 4, the Aquarius, is cloudy chance of moodiness, I would say, caught between mental attitudes and theories, certain theories, propositions, not necessarily proven facts. Step 5, the Gemini, showers, chance of storms, I think, at least through the eclipse, caught between social reputation issues and the inner child. Okay, so the inner child might be trying to please the wrong group of people, one thing, and your inner child will really know what it really wants, and that might allow you to switch gears. Step 6, the Libra and Sunny with a chance of arrogance. That's because the full moon eclipse is in their ego, so they're going to feel very strong, but the ones on the false pedestals will get knocked down, unfortunately. So be careful, Libras. Make sure you know what's going on. But you are caught between long-term partnerships and your ego. All right, so it's about being in the right partnership, which means about being the right partner to you, and that won't pull it off for you perfectly. Is Mercury retrograde today? I feel like I'm saying crossword puzzles. Today, cloudy chance of storms for the Pisces. You are caught between self-confidence issues and personal limits. So really, you're building self-confidence, and maybe your self-confidence is based on thinking that's your limit, but maybe that isn't your limit. And then if you move the limit, then the confidence will change. That's kind of how that dynamic works. But you might be very sensitive to personal boundaries. So just saying, be nice around the Pisces people. Capricorn, step 8. Cloudy chance of just anxiety. I don't think it'll hit you too hard, but it's a tug of war between emotional security, which you are getting a foot into, and career power. So you might be considering something for your career, and maybe it's for your career that will allow you to risk the security. Maybe that's it, stepping out of it. Step 9, the Aries, cloudy chance of love issues through the weekend, just like the Librans, the opposite sign, the two signs most affected, Aries and Libra. But you were caught between your ego's strength and your partnerships, what you've agreed to, all right? Now you're here to stand in a new strength for yourself, and just like the Librans, you're here to be here for yourself first and then your partnership. So it has to be taken in that order, otherwise you're eventually going to go back to yourself, right? Step 10 is the Tauruses, cloudy chance of showers, caught between your highest faith and the details of reality. And boy, is reality kicking me in the butt right now. It's tough to keep up with it. So yes, higher faith versus details of reality. And of course, trying to find that higher faith when details don't seem to present reason to. Step 11 is the Virgos, cloudy chance of pissiness as well. It is about personal trust versus self-confidence. So you need to trust yourself, and that will lead to the confidence. But paradoxically, you might feel confident to allow you to trust yourself in a new way. Kind of depends on where you are in that spiral staircase. All right. So looking at our Lightwalker Parade. If you're on YouTube, please be kind and do subscribe. We thank you ahead of time. And if you like to be our friend on Facebook, come on down to soulgarden.me. Takes you there. And if you'd like to book a reading or learn about other products and services I offer, come down to soulmart.me. And right now, of course, Secrets of Birthdays is probably the hottest item. You can get one in less than a week. They are custom edited to your date of birth, and you can also look up someone that you know and you love. They really fill you in on the basics, and they're about 20 minutes and only $20. Come on down to secretsofbirthdays.com. And my lovely ladies, the Modern Mommies, have recorded an awesome episode you can watch over the weekend if you want to catch up on things. Kids, sunscreen, and all sorts of tips and tricks to make it easy on mothers. So definitely, if you're a mother, watch this show. And if you haven't noticed, we have the new Magi Soundscopes available here in our playlist from Chrissy Stereo, and she comes out with these every 2 weeks, and it is in our playlist. And actually, a couple of people have been telling me that they've been watching them and they like them. So be sure to go over there and friend her as well, or follow her channel on YouTube as well. She does some great work. I'm stumbling over myself. I think I'm feeling the lunar eclipse, folks. So I'm gonna bow out. I got to teach Joy Camp tomorrow, and then I'm back on Monday. Have a good lunar eclipse. Just let the old life go, let it flow. Who cares, as I say in my logo, right? Remember, I love you, and live, love, be.
This is just so ironic.
So